They abandoned you when things were tough, did they? When your facade crumbled and your vulnerability was revealed, when the world nibbled on your back, they vanished. Friends, lovers, even relatives, individuals you would have done anything for, turned chilly when your flame extinguished. You thought they cared. You thought the world was fair, but the world doesn't care about the loyal. It only respects the useful. Consider this. The world respects the useful. They weren't in the wrong to leave. That is what should pain you most. Because this world is founded on usefulness, not on kindness. When you fail, when you're injured, the world doesn't care whether you're all right. It walks on top of you and finds someone stronger. But here is the brutal reality: that fall you took, that was the best thing that ever happened to you. Because now you can see the lies, the false promises, the notion of fairness are all gone. Now you can rise without deception. When all hell breaks loose, that is when real people are created. You don't acquire power when you feel comfortable, you construct it. When your name is not revered and your hands quiver with rage, that moment when nobody assists you, that's where power is created. That's where leaders emerge. You either remain broken or decide now that this hurt is where you begin. The world believed it killed you, but it did not. It liberated you. Now, you walk differently, not to be accepted or liked, but to be unattainable. You become the man who succeeds in silence, who labors in the background, who becomes strong where others beg for mercy, no longer begging for peace. You secure peace by becoming strong. This is combat now, and your opponent is all of you that pleaded for love from cowards. That part, kill it. Power lies in controlled ruthlessness. Want to make it through when life collapses. Good, then forget about kindness being power. It isn't, not when it's unconditional, not when it's blind. Controlled and targeted ruthlessness gets you out of the mud. Most men believe being good is about being soft, but softness is a privilege of the secure. If you're bleeding, alone, and not at peace, you don't require softness. You require an edge. You need to make up your mind this minute. I will be useful. I will be feared before I am liked. When you walk in a room, others need to feel it, not because you yell, but because your silence slices like a knife. Ruthless men don't yell. They observe. They study vulnerability like predators. Observe hurt prey. The man you wanted to become, wanted to be accepted. The man you have to become now craves power. There is a difference. You don't stab people. You outwit them. You don't yell back. You recall everything. You use their insults to plot your next move. Cold memory is more powerful than hot revenge. Controlled ruthlessness is not chaos. It's discipline with a sharp edge. This isn't about hurting people. It's about no longer allowing them to hurt you. That's the transformation. When you begin to set boundaries without explanation, the world calls you cruel. Good. Let them call you cold. Let them misinterpret you. The tiger doesn't explain its stripes. You don't owe softness to a world that attempted to shatter you. You owe it a strong response, a response forged of iron. You don't yearn for closure. You engineer repercussions. From now on, move like a weapon with a defined purpose. No emotion unless it serves. No reaction unless it works. And when people want to know what made you different, let them drown in your silence. Say, my silence is strategy. If you're finished playing nice in a world of wolves, the old you have to die, the man who begged, dreamed, and hoped for second chances, can't ride with you. You can't build again while carrying around old dead pieces. The old you, who was always agreeing when you meant no, who allowed people to stab you in the back, who offered parts of himself just to be noticed, that was soft clay. Soft clay gets molded by all people. Let him decay. Move on. He taught you how to not be. You can't be dangerous when you still have to be loved. The old you pleaded for peace. The new you understands peace has to be fought by conquering your own madness. Burn the identity forged in compromise. Your real self awakens not when life is easy, but when you're cornered, when nobody cheers for you, when you must extract meaning from silence. That is where all men perish. but it's also where a few are remade into more. This isn't a transformation, it's a warpath. You become someone who does not ask for closure, does not explain himself, does not attempt to repair what life broke. Your hurt is the flame, and your new version is the sword forged out of it. Remember this: you are not healing, you are growing. You are not the victim, you are the result. Grieve who you were, but only once, then pledge. The next you doesn't pursue, flinch, or apologize for being untouchable. They'll tell you, you've changed. Good, that's the idea. A man who remains the same after hurt has no courage. Change is the price of survival. Growth is the cost of power. Kill the old self. Into him deep. Tell him, my past is a dead thing. I don't grieve for it. Construct your mind like a fortress, a war room. Your mind is a battleground. Most men stumble through it unguarded, hoping life will be gentle, then asking themselves why they get hurt. Not you. No longer. You're here to construct a robust mind, where doubt dies and fear is dissected. All the rest, money, status, love, is leased, but your mind, that belongs to you. So construct it, brick by brick, discipline it like a gun, guard it like a fortress. When you wake up, strategize. When you talk, think. When you feel, slow down and question the emotion before allowing it to dominate you. Most men don't do this. They respond, they recoil, and they disintegrate. You don't, you observe. Your war room of minds should be your command center. Within you strategize betrayal before it occurs. You analyze those who claim allegiance. You anticipate loss. You map out your rebuilds prior to things breaking. It is not fear. It is preparation, and preparation is empowerment. To the masses, silence is hollow. To you, it is planning. You do not flee your pain. You learn from it, document it, make scars into information. You journal like a general records battles. You don't meditate for peace. You meditate to cut your wits sharp. All the habits you cultivate fuel the war machine within you. Cold showers, exercise, mental clarity, intentional solitude. This isn't health. This is arming yourself. When the world assaults you through gossip and pandemonium, it finds your walls high, your gates shut, your mind too hard to shatter. You've become a man who doesn't need approval, audience, or applause, only results. Say, my mind is my fortress. No one enters without permission. If you're ready to own what can't be taken, use silence as your strategy. Silence isn't weakness. It's the most underestimated weapon. Loud men want attention. Quiet men study the battlefield. Most speak just to be heard, to prove they exist. But when life breaks down and you reach rock bottom, you don't need noise, you need clear thinking. And clarity lives in silence. Stop explaining yourself. Stop revealing your next step. Let the world wonder and speculate. Mystery is not a sense. Mystery is a weapon. To master your environment, keep quiet. Keep your cards so close that nobody sees your move. The cunning mind doesn't act. It observes. Silence allows you to read between the lines, identify vulnerabilities, see through manipulators, and pass unnoticed. Each time you keep your thoughts, emotions, or response in check, you gain control. While they reveal their authentic self in attempting to get a reaction from you, you remain quiet and become unpredictable. Don't give them your agony. Don't overindulge them with your challenges. Let them believe you disappeared. Then return with outcomes so authentic that they cannot refute. Words are cheap. Actions speak louder. You no longer seek closure. You leave things open. Silence becomes armor, brand, edge. This is the secret. When you stop letting others into your emotions, they have no control over you. Silence is also control of yourself. Don't respond to disrespect. Don't defend yourself to people who don't need defending. Don't respond just because they expect it. You sit with discomfort. You outlast noise. And you smile, not because you're weak, but because you already know how it ends. They speak to be heard. you remain silent to succeed. Say, silence is my tactic. Enigma is my power. If you're ready to be no longer easy to understand, predictable, and weak, regulate your empathy and utilize understanding as a tool. Empathy is not weakness when you are in command of it. True power is in profoundly comprehending people without losing yourself in their feelings. You don't drown in their emotions. You analyze their tone, phobias, and subtle cues. You don't respond, you chart their minds. That's cold empathy. You care enough to foretell, but not enough to be deceived. Most humans have little empathy or become lost in it. But you tread the thin line between understanding and command. You know people like a predator knows prey. You desire influence. Learn how humans rationalize betrayal for themselves. Learn how they conceal their shame in moral tales. Learn how they shift blame so they can sleep at night. Then apply it. Mimic their speech, copy their principles until they trust you. And when they stumble, you catch them first. This is not brutality, it's survival. In a world where might doesn't make right, but stealthy maneuvers do, a man who reads people already wins before the game begins. Emotions are data. Everyone is doing the same thing over and over, messing up, searching for a solution. The more they speak, the more they reveal. You listen, recall, and reflect. You are not here to rescue anyone. You are here to know them better than they know themselves. Cold empathy is smiling while they lie, nodding while they pretend, because you know their truth and you are steps ahead. Apply their stories to construct your strategies. Apply their suffering to understand their boundaries. When you must, use their language to shatter their walls, not to console, but to guide. Master the outcomes of your life, or step away unscathed by the turmoil of the world around you. That is the real edge. The cutting line between those who crumble and those who ascend. Feel deeply, aye, but do not let the drag of feeling hold you back. Harness your feelings, command them, but never be their victim. Think about this. I read minds not to heal but to lead. This is the attitude of a person who won't be emotionally hijacked by the noise and heartlessness of the world, the shadow mirror that lives on pain to keep you weak and disoriented. All that which previously shattered you, all the wounds life brought to you, left a secret template, a map etched into your scars, but you never learned how to decipher it. Pain is not the foe, pain is the engineer of your metamorphosis. Each betrayal, each silence you have had to bear, each time when you felt invisible and unremembered, these were not simply tests, but whispers from life teaching you precisely what needs to be stripped away and what needs to be created again. Weak men attempt to escape from pain. They numb it with distractions, run from it, drown it with constant noise or hollow comfort. But you are not like that. You are here to arm your pain, to bring your agony into the light, gaze at it, like you are looking at a reflection in a mirror, and declare with confidence, "Good. Now I finally get where my fire is coming from." Because once pain is part of your introspection, once you truly claim it, it becomes not a vulnerability, but a wellspring of unimaginable strength. You don't get stronger by forgetting or escaping. You get stronger by recalling each incident in detail and making each one a strength, muscle tempered in adversity. You channel heartbreak into fuel that drives you to train when you don't feel like it. You cite betrayal as the excuse for holding your tongue when your gut yells to lash out. You manufacture failure into fuel for planning and studying, and growing with an intensity that anger and hurt and discomfort can never provide. Pain maps out what you used to be, and then it leaves you the knife to sever that old you free. You don't merely endure, you take your suffering and turn it into a strength. This is the vital distinction among victims and murderers in this existence. One cringes at the pain and disintegrates, the other hones their blade, utilizing each wound as an instrument. Gaze at the worst that has ever occurred in your life. Now ask yourself, what would the kind of man that I would become if I utilized the pain, if I turned it into my fuel rather than my excuse, if I ceased narrating my story to gain sympathy and began narrating it as a tactic. That is the shadow mirror, the point at which you cease to see pain as a wound to be healed and start to look at it as a mighty sword. Because the reality is, you're not here merely to survive or get better. You're here to rise up, sporting your scars like armor, every single one of them, hard-won, remembered and utilized to your benefit. Say, my pain doesn't define me, it refines me. If you're finished running from the fire and are ready to embody the fire, it's time to practice detachment, the culmination of needing. Need is the leash your enemies hold to control you. While you're needy of love, validation, approval, or peace, you're not free, you're domesticated, like a trained dog waiting for permission or a pat on the head. But that leash needs to be snapped now. Detachment is not coldness or numbness, it is mastery. You still feel, you still desire, but you no longer need. That subtle yet potent distinction makes you threatening, because once you eliminate others' need to look at you, love you, or know you, you become uncontainable. And in a world that's coming apart at the seams, only the uncontainable thrive and survive. If you want true mental toughness, then murder your dependencies, the unseen shackles that restrain you. This is breaking the secret hopes that hold on to you, that someone will return, apologize, or finally see your value. Release that man, the one who waited, pleaded, and justified himself. Let him quietly die, for he was governed by need. You are here now to govern yourself. Detachment is not running away. It's arriving, a coming to a point where you no longer pursue anything because already you know who you are. Quiet, intense, self-fed, self-forged. The reason others attempt to manipulate you is because you still desire something from them. When you take that hunger away, their hold on you loses its strength and lets go. Suddenly you have clarity. The snares of guilt, emotional games, the strings of shame, each one is laid bare. You sever each of them, not in anger, but in cold detachment. Detachment is not heartlessness, it is clarity. It is the understanding that true peace lives inside, and control means freedom from need. A man who needs nothing cannot be broken. He can lose battles, but he never begs. He can feel pain, but he never flinches. He may walk alone, but he never drifts aimlessly. Let the world call it heartless. Let them say Eusep changed. You are not here to be understood by weak minds. You are here to be unshakable. Speak this truth. I need nothing. That sips why I sips am free. If you've outgrown the leash of emotional dependence, your enemies will be right about you. Let them talk. Let them whisper, accuse, and mock. Let them throw insults, betrayals, and venomous half-truths your way. Listen, but not to defend yourself. Listen to absorb and understand. Your enemies are correct about you, not because they tell the truth, but because they expose the aspects of yourself you've been too afraid to own. You are selfish. Good. Placing yourself first is how you prevent bleeding for those who wouldn't even notice if you were on fire. You are cold. Good. Ice doesn't compromise under stress. Ice slashes. You are ruthless. Even better. Ruthless men don't break. They lay their frailties deep. The moment you stop denying the monster they say you are, you start to control him. What others see as your flaws are the very traits you need to survive. If they call you arrogant, it's because they cannot manipulate your self-respect. If they call you heartless, it's because you stopped letting guilt chain you. The real problem isn't that you are too dark. The issue is that the world has taught you to be ashamed of your shadow. But keep in mind, every king has a dungeon within. Every general has a graveyard behind his throne. True power requires that you wear the pieces of yourself that unsettle the weak. You don't clear your name. You become the name that doesn't need clearing. The stronger you become, the louder the hate will ring, because you stand as a reminder to people of what they will never be. And that is your greatest strength. Embrace it. Make it yours. Let it make you unbeatable. If you need further growth or remodeling of any particular aspect, feel free to ask. That is your greatest strength. The point that keeps you ahead of others. Don't waste time trying to explain it or fix what they misunderstand about you. Instead, let their words become the very armor that shields you. Every insult, every lie, every misinterpretation they throw your way should not cut you. It should strengthen you. You are not the bad person in their narrative. Instead, you are the correction they needed. They are the ones who had to pay a price for underestimating your strength and resilience. The moment you fully realize this, their judgments, their criticisms, their opinions no longer distract or control you. Instead, these voices recede into the background, a soft murmur beneath the deafening symphony of your rise, your concentrated vengeance, your unrelenting progress. So speak, let them speak. Their dread of your power only fuels the myth about you. Their gossip, which is meant to discredit, only fuels the legend that you are born to be. Accept it all, devour it all, and turn every word into fuel for your rise. Say it loud, I wear every insult like armor. Stop apologizing for being powerful. Stop shrinking so that others can be comfortable. This is the law of expected betrayal, a reality too often overlooked but relentlessly true. Loyalty does not reach beyond the threshold of inconvenience. Learn this law well, and you will no longer be surprised or caught off guard the second those closest to you change sides, the moment it becomes more convenient or rewarding for them to do so. Betrayal is not an unusual, unanticipated occurrence. It is foreseeable. Most men drift through life, expecting the people around them not to cause them harm, but expecting is a poor shield. Strategic men know betrayal is coming, anticipate it, prepare for it, and then employ it as a tool, as leverage. Cease to be naive. Begin to prepare. The dagger in your back did not suddenly appear. You simply weren't paying close enough attention to the insidious signs. Trust gradually from now on, observe closely, and never surrender your heart so easily again. This is not paranoia. This is power. The power to perceive threats before they materialize. The power to comprehend the game behind the shadows. It is the betrayal that you did not anticipate, the one that you did not prepare for. From this point on, you anticipate the change. You see the signs, a cooling of tone, a pause, a shrinking of warmth. You observe how they act when your worth is not greatest, how their allegiance diminishes in times of need or adversity. Real loyalty is never boisterous in triumph. It speaks quietly in the hard times. Most won't survive that test, not because they're bad, but because they're weak. You don't expend energy on rage about betrayal anymore. You redirect it into strategy. You look at it as affirmation that your gut was correct all along. You see men remake stories, rationalizing their fearfulness to assuage their conscience, but you don't respond emotionally. You record the facts. You keep accounts, not to exact revenge with blind fury, but to maintain a clear ledger, a map of facts. Like a seasoned general, you maintain a log of every occurrence, every shift. You become the general of your own existence, commanding with deliberate moves rather than emotional whim. Now you play the long game. You have long memories. You walk alone not because you hate people, but because you prefer patterns to empty words. Expecting betrayal is a kind of strength. It keeps you from investing too much too early. It prevents you from telling too much too quickly, and it protects your resources until they are well deserved. When humans fold, when they show their true nature, you are already 2 steps ahead. You're not broken. You're not bitter. You are colder and smarter. Repeat after me. I expect betrayal. That's why I'm never broken. If you are sick and tired of being surprised by the worst aspects of human nature, it's time for the last law. Become the storm. They said you had to ride out the storm, wait for it to pass, tough it out through patience, but that is not your way anymore. You do not stand under the rain and wish for it to pass. You become the rain itself, the chaos, the thunder, the power that transforms all. This last law is straightforward and absolute. You don't just live through life. You dictate it. You don't plead for mercy. You are the force upon which mercy itself cowers and pleads to be excused. Storms don't stop to justify their existence or motives. They arrive with fury and intention, leveling all in their wake. When you have rebuilt yourself from the ashes of betrayal, silence, and loss, you don't come weak, you come unstoppable. You are not tranquil. You are mastered. You are not soft. You are accurate. When the world tries to hit you with the same dull pain, it finds no entry, because storms do not fear lightning. Storms consist of lightning. This is your time to step over the precipice of what you used to be and never turn back. No more negotiating with weakness. No more battles within. The days of mere survival are behind us. You're not surviving anymore. You're taking ground. You are not a man attempting to merely feel better, praying for peace. You are a force learning to dominate through harsh discipline. From now on, you move with the boom and weight of thunder. Your words have weight and repercussions. You live as though your silence in itself could destroy whole cities. You're not healing wounds. You're reclaiming control over your mind, your actions, your vitality. You are the storm now, unpredictable, irrefutable, unstoppable. Let others attempt to define you. Let them attempt to constrain you, but never again permit anyone to touch you. Because you aren't what occurred to you. You are what grew back in answer. Not a survivor, not a victim. You are a walking storm, tempered in darkness, bound in silence, moved by law. Declare it aloud. I wear the storm as skin. If you've finished surviving and begun commanding, now is the time to stand tall. Like this message, subscribe and ring the bell to get ready for every storm. Remember, we're not here to feel better. We sit here to become untouchable.